I want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. What does this church believe about speaking in tongues? Well, I'm presuming you mean First Baptist Church of Opelika, and our goal and our desire is not just to be a, quote, Baptist church, but to be a biblical church. And so when it comes to what we know as, quote, the speaking in of tongues, it is a concept, it is a spiritual gift that is mentioned in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, but I must remind each and every one of us, it is a gift that has the speaking of and the interpretation of, which leads us to 1 Corinthians chapter 14. Now, an entire chapter of the Bible is dedicated to a definition of, a description, and a delineation of this spiritual gift known as, quote, speaking in tongues. So therefore, we must be dealing with an expression of the faith that has been controversial and divisive at times, that it requires its own chapter. Now, we obviously could go a great length about this respective gift and this expression of the faith, but allow me to sum it up in a capacity of manners. Number one, in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, what we know as speaking in tongues is called a, quote, sign. Now, the reason that's important is according to 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 21, a sign is what Jews require. So what we know as the speaking of tongues is something that Jewish people are, shall we say, well reached with. Don't believe me? Look at Acts chapter 2, where every single person there was of a Jewish background and heard them, quote, speak in tongues, which according to Acts 2 was their own language, not some type of extra extraneous utterance, so to speak. The second thing is it says when somebody speaks in tongues that there must be an interpreter. So first litmus test, it's typically in a Jewish context. Second test, there must be an interpreter. Here's the third one. It says in a public format, no more than 2 or 3. Now, last but not least, and there's more than this, it says that whomever speaks in tongues edifies himself, meaning he knows what he says, not just the interpretation thereof. So that being said, in today's contemporary, primarily Gentile church background, if you have tongues being spoken and interpreted, whomever speaks in tongues knows what they are, quote, saying. There is an interpreter for everyone doing so. There are no more than 2 or 3 that speak and interpret, and more than likely than not, there would be Jewish people who would come to faith in Jesus Christ in the context there. And that being said, that environment is rarely, if ever, found in today's world. Great question. If you have one, send it to AskJeff.net, and maybe your question will be tomorrow's. Thanks for being a part of today's daily question. Now, we answer a question each and every day. Please feel free to submit a new question at AskJeff.net. We may not have gotten to yours today, but we eventually will continue to be a part of this. Subscribe so you don't miss out on a question every day.